Okay, so what we're going to see very quickly is a very important video on migration. And the reason why I'm doing this is because people keep on talking about illegal migration, particularly in relation to the boats that come over. And I've heard people from Reform say exactly the same thing. And it's disingenuous simply because it's untrue. Okay, people who are claiming asylum don't have to do it from whatever country, or they can do it once they come to the UK. And they become an asylum seeker, and then they go through the legal process that we have signed up to in treaties, which gives them certain rights. Let's see what they've got to say.
These are human beings that are being used as a weapon for political gain, for this constant appeasing of far right and right wing politics. This is all that's happening here. These are human beings; they're not animals. And Phil, at what point in your life, right, would you deem it acceptable for a situation or a person to take away your choice? Part of being a human being is that you have choices, and these people. You're going to shut up and listen, or what?
Yes, go on, Phil. Go on.
I'm just agreeing. I'm just saying.
All
yes.
right. But just okay. Carry on, Simon.
So you agree that it's important as a human being to have the ability and the freedom to make choices, yeah?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, go on.
Right. So there's no difference then between you and these people, all right? But they're not allowed to make free choices because of the political system that we have. And that dehumanises them. They just want a better life. And if you were in the same situation, you would want a better life. And it would force you to do things that you have to bend the system, bend the rules in order to make the choices that you make. They are not coming from France. They are travelling through France to get here to choose to claim asylum. And people like Nigel Farage and people like, at the moment, Keir Starmer, for God's sake, who I voted for, are using these people as a political weapon to get people like you, Phil, wound up.
Mate,
and it's not right.
You don't
it's not
like me.
All right, well, let Phil respond, Simon.
You don't even know me, so don't put me in a category. Look, I've just said to you, if people are persecuted, they come to their head, and either with it's like fear of their lives for political or whatever reason, yeah, fine, come through the system and then do it legally. They are illegal. I'm terribly sorry, mate, but that is the terminology. They are illegal, and we cannot afford to keep on dumping it.
Well,
it's
not, Phil. Phil, it's not.
Don't have the finances.
All right, now, Phil, it's not the terminology. It is described as irregular migration, not illegal. It's described as irregular migration. When they come and apply irregularly but apply for asylum, they are not illegal, they are asylum seekers. If they do a runner and then start working under the radar, they're illegal.
No, they're illegal. Look, can I go to France?
I'm just telling you what the law is, Phil. You can shout at me if you like, but
no, I'm not shouting. I'm not shouting. I'm just trying to answer your question. What's your terminology for illegal then? If I go to America, how do I get into America without a passport, a visa, and the right documents?
It depends what you're doing there. If you're sneaking in under cover of darkness to go and commit crime all over the place, you're a criminal and you're illegal. If you're coming in, hang on. No, listen to the end of my sentence. If you arrive there and say, "Hello, nice border guard in Hudson Bay, I'd like to claim asylum from, I don't know, Guatemala. Can you help me?" Then you're an asylum seeker.
Guatemala. I'm coming from England. I'm coming from England, not Guatemala.
All right.
If I travel, no, Sheila, please, you shut me up for a minute. But basically, let me just say, basically, if I travel anywhere in the world without the necessarily required passports, visas, or documentation, and try and cross into that country any other way than a noted form of transport, that is illegal. You can use terminology.
No, I'm not. Honestly, I'm not dancing on the head of a pin here, Phil. I'm just telling you, wherever you come from, if you land at the shores of a country and claim asylum, under international law, certainly those who are signatories to it, the Convention on Refugees, the country has to give you a hearing and assess whether you can have asylum, and they can reject that claim.
Okay, we just hit the nail on the head. So say if you go on holiday somewhere and you haven't got a passport, what happens when you get to immigration control? You get turned away. You don't have a right of entry via your passport. But say you turned up at another country in the plane, on a boat, or you just walk across the border, depending on where you are in the world, and you claim asylum, and they are signed up to that relevant treaty which gives you the right under the laws to claim asylum, then you are an asylum seeker and you go through the process of law. It is as simple as that, whether it's on a plane or whether it's on a boat, no matter what, whether that's unpopular hearing or not, or whether Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, however they want to frame it, it is legal because our country has signed up to those treaties. So the conversation is not about people following the legal process. It's really about whether the country wants to withdraw from those treaties or not. So listen, if the country decides to go down that route, it's regrettable, but then at least then we can have this sensible conversation about anybody else coming over would then be illegal, right? Say if there is genuine persecution, there's a war going on over where they've just come from, we would be returning them where? Back to the war zone? So seriously, when it comes to, is this a country based on laws, the ones that we signed up to in the treaties, and are we essentially at foundations a Christian country, aka one that's not going to send the needy back to war-torn countries? So we're going to follow the rules that we signed up for? We'll see.
So why do we bother having passports and visas and documentation? We don't need them.
Because most of us aren't refugees claiming asylum.
They're already in France, where it's actually they've been accepted into the country. They're sitting in the country quite safe. They're not being chased over the channel. But the gendarmes are watching them coming over and helping them.
So we in the UK should be protected from any arrivals for asylum claims, any arrivals because of this mass migration of people that the whole world is witnessing and experiencing. Britain should be uniquely protected from it simply because where France ends, the water begins and we're at the other side of that water. So we shouldn't have to deal with it.
I believe any country that's actually got its borders and border control should be in control of those borders and control, so we know who is coming in there and what is coming in there. Not to have people just jump on them.
The host actually makes an absolutely amazing point there. What the UK is actually trying to argue is that de facto, because we are an island, nobody by boat should be allowed to claim asylum here if they've travelled through anywhere else. That's his point. And that's a point about what he would like the rules to be, but not what the rules actually are. Okay, so say as British people, there's a lot of other countries where we have no family, no friends, we don't know the language, we have to pass through all of those countries to get to another country which is more suited to us for whatever reason. So for ourselves as sensible people, we had a choice that we can either go to these countries and live in a situation where we've got more struggle, or we'll go to another country which just suits us better for whatever reason, where there's less struggle. Now, what are we going to choose? It's as simple as that. And the fact that we are on an island that had to be going through those countries which are less suitable to claim asylum in the country which is more suitable. And of course, as the host said, that country can still turn us away as long as that country has followed the procedures. That person in making the application, that's the only thing that they need to do. Make the application, and then we've signed up to a process where we have to consider that application on the evidence. But some of those will be successful and some of those will fail. And it's as simple as that. And just very quickly, he was getting confused with the whole thing about, well, why do you need passports then? Well, if you're just going on holiday somewhere, you're not claiming asylum, are you? So you're still going to need a passport, otherwise you will get turned away. But if you go to whatever country which is signed up to those treaties, which is a set of laws that your country has agreed to, then you've got to write for that application to be heard, and that's just the facts.
All right. Well, let's give Simon a chance now. Go on, Simon.
I mean, look, there is no safe and legal route for these people. If there was, then anybody coming in on a boat after that, then, I'd be a lot happier to refuse them entry. But these people don't have a chance. I want to ask Phil...
Well, some do.
Is Phil going to vote for reform?
No, not necessarily at all. I've got my own views. I'm not going to...
it's a simple question. Simple question.
Well, he answered it. He said not necessarily. Go on, Phil, elaborate.
No, I'm in a wilderness at the moment because I have not got a clue to vote for, because none of them have got a clue what they stand for at the moment at all. Nobody. So I'm in a wilderness, quite frankly.
Why did you ask that question, Simon?
He sounds like a reform voter, let's face it. And I wanted to know what would be more important to him. Less migrants coming in and maybe being extra cruel to human beings, or the prospect of him having to pay for healthcare and ignoring climate change. Do you know what I mean? What's more important in the grand scheme of things? Because let's say he is going to vote for reform, it's people like him that are going to drive this country into ruin. Because they fall for this narrative that is fed to them by bad people with agendas. And they fall for it. Because Phil, to me, you're the victim here. Because you fall for the nonsense.
Go on, Phil. Respond to that.
All right. Okay. Well, no, I'll take his sympathy, if that's what he thinks. If he thinks I ain't got a brain of my own, I'll take his sympathy. I'll be honest with you, I don't speak to anybody. Simon's an exception, and I mix in quite a circle of people, but I haven't had this conversation. The majority of people I talk to, the majority have the similar or same views as myself on this issue. So you'll get people which actually, yes, okay, I do sympathise, and I'm not a nasty person, okay, and I do have my own version.
I do want to jump in there very quickly. He mixes in a circle of people that agree with him. Now, to be fair to the host, she tried to correct him in relation to the law, but he's got that cognitive dissonance. He can't accept the reality. He can accept what he's been told till now, which are lies by the representatives of reform and that ilk. But the reality is exactly as she said. Countries that have signed up to the relevant asylum-related treaties will be assessed in line with those procedures. Now, that's the reality. The reality, as that caller saw it, was, well, that shouldn't be the case. But that's not the reality. That's the should have in his brain, basically. So if he doesn't want that to be the reality, basically he'd either have to change that treaty or withdraw from that treaty. But that's not the conversation that we're having now. And I guess the reason why it hasn't happened is because it's just not that simple, and there'll be other penalties to withdraw from that, let alone our standing in the world and our values, which I thought were rooted in Christianity and rule-based. So you got these people fleeing persecution. What would Jesus do in that situation in terms of British values? How fickle we are. Anyway, let's go.
My own views on certain things. But on this particular item, no, I totally agree with Starmer.
All right.
And it's funny enough, I don't agree a lot with Starmer, quite frankly.
So for you, that direct communication has really worked in the video.
It's been enforced long enough. It's not been enforced long enough. So
Yeah, but the communication has impressed you. The manner of that video and what he's saying in it, that's got your attention.
I haven't actually seen the video, to be honest, Sheila.
Oh, okay.
What you just played back to me in about the last half an hour.
Okay,
So
well, that's the bare bones of it, really, apart from the pictures. Final thought on this, in this ding-dong of a debate from you, Simon.
Just before I go forward, that is so often the case. He's got onto the radio, he's irate, he's arguing his point, but he hasn't actually watched the video, the thing that he's supporting. So he supports Keir Starmer on immigration. Okay, yeah. Have you actually heard the words from Keir Starmer? Of course he hasn't. And that's the problem. That people got no shame and they put themselves forwards as experts, having done zero or minimal or no thought into it whatsoever. They're just told what to think. Like somebody's got their hand up their arse like a puppet and they're just spouting somebody else's words. It's like, oh my gosh. Anyway, let's go.
I just think that he is just a classic example of a victim that's fallen for this nonsense. These people have been weaponised in order to further political gains, and I'm absolutely disgusted with Labour. That's not the party I voted for. And Phil, you are a victim, mate. You and all your mates that get sucked in by the right-wing press and the narrative that's fed to you, you are a victim.